Hey guys, so this lesson's called 5-6, Rationalizing Denominators, but this time we're doing it with binomials. So what this is, the only difference between today's lesson and the one before is that now we have binomials or two-termed polynomials like in the bottom of our fractions. So how we get rid of them is we just multiply the bottom of the conjugate of the denominator, or we multiply the whole fraction by the conjugate of this bottom part right here. So the conjugate is the exact same thing, except whatever the sign is, you just flip it. So the conjugate of 3 plus radical 5 would just be 3 minus radical 5. So we're going to go like this and multiply top and bottom by that conjugate. Okay, now if you have a single term like this, leave it outside. Like, don't try to distribute it. It's actually better to keep it already factored so that we can like simplify a little bit better. Now, if you look at this, we have 3 and 3, square root of 5, and a plus minus. So this is actually a dots kind of scenario. So you don't have to FOIL this whole thing out, because like what you're going to see when you do that, and I can show you real quick what happens, but 3 times 3 gives you 9. And then 3 times negative square root of 5 would be negative 3 radical 5. And then 3 times radical 5 is 3 radical 5. And then a radical 5 times a negative radical 5 is a negative radical 25. Right? Now, you're not going to have to write this every single time. I'm just doing it for the first one so you guys can see. Since they are the exact same terms, just different signs, these middle terms always cancel. So really every time, all you really have to do is 3 times 3, which is 9. And then radical 5 times radical 5 will actually just give you, right, a 5. And since it's plus minus, that's why it's going to just be a negative 5 there. So you have 6 times 3 minus radical 5. And then it's going to be a 9 minus 5 on the bottom. So again, look at that. So you can jump from this to this if you understand that 3 times 3 is 9. Square root of 5 times negative square root of 5 is just negative 5, because it gives you square root of 25, which ends up just being 5. Okay, so then from there, you simplify the bottom just a little bit, right? So 9 minus 5 is just 4. So you're almost done. If you can simplify this fraction in the front, you want to do that. And I can, right? 6 divided by 4 reduces to be 3/2. So I'm just going to change that to be 3 times 3 minus radical 5 all over 2. And then that's as far as I can take this. So that's my final answer. Again, how you know when to stop is if this fraction can be broken down, obviously, and then I should not have a radical anymore in the denominator. You do not need to distribute the top on those, okay? On this one, you don't need to do that. Okay, so let's look at number 2. So for number 2, the conjugate of 4 minus radical 10, that's going to be 4 plus radical 10. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by that. Now, I just like doing parentheses because it's easier for me. Okay, so I have 6 times 4 plus radical 10 along the top. The bottom, all I got to do, since these, again, are conjugates of each other, is 4 times 4 is 16. Radical 10, or negative radical 10 times a positive radical 10 gives me just minus 10. Because the radicals cancel each other out, and a plus times, right, a minus or positive number times a negative gives me a negative number. So now I simplify the bottom. And these 6's actually cancel each other to give you 1. So your final answer would just be 4 plus radical 10. Radical 10 cannot be simplified, so that would be my final answer. Okay. Number 2, the conjugate of this one would be 3, or radical 3 minus 2. Right? Running out of space here. Okay, so that would give you 8 radical 3 minus 2, right? So 8 times radical 3 minus 2 all over. A radical 3 times a radical 3 is just a 3. A 2 times a negative 2 is minus 4. And again, that's okay because they're conjugates, so those middle terms will cancel. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So in other words, your final answer is just negative 8 times radical 3 minus 2. And that would be it for that one. Okay, and the last one here is probably the hardest, and I didn't put that many on the homework, but if you notice, these ones all had just a single number on the top, so it made the simplifying kind of easy. This one's got 2 terms, so I'm going to multiply still by 4 plus radical 11, 4 plus radical 11. Okay, I'm going to parenthesize everything. And the top now, I actually have to FOIL that. So I have to do 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times radical 11 is radical 11. Then I got to do 4 times radical 11, which is just 4 radical 11. And then radical 11 times radical 11 is just 11. Okay, so FOIL. The bottoms are conjugates, so 4 times 4 is 16. Negative radical 11 times a positive radical 11 is just minus 11. So then simplifying the top, I have, it doesn't matter which order, I just can combine like terms. 4 plus 11 is 15, right? And then this plus this is 5 radical 11. So it doesn't matter whether the constant's in the front or vice versa. Okay, and then the bottom here, 16 minus 11 is just 5. Now, this would be done, however, if you can divide both these terms by 5 and simplify, then do it, right? And I can. 5 goes into 5, 1 time. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So my final answer ends up being radical 11 plus 3, because I can simplify that. Okay? So those are 4 examples for you guys. So just kind of follow those when you do the homework, and you should be good to go. Okay, thanks.